Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Buried Rat Podcast, where today I'm going to be talking about Montessori schools. I was a Montessori school kid, so this has like a very special place in my heart, and I honestly think being a Montessori kid is why I started this podcast, and I'll explain what that means later. So, we're going to start with the history and characteristics of Montessori schools. The kind of concept was developed by Maria Montessori in Rome in 1907, which I actually didn't know. I thought Montessori meant something. That was literally just her last name, which I mean, I'm sure it means something, but I thought that word specifically referred to the education. But yeah, it was literally just her last name. Some kind of characteristics that most modern Montessori schools have are like a large freedom of choice. There's open movement around the classroom. There are special classroom materials for Montessori schools. Montessori schools are mixed age. Some schools have a study time for 3 hours or less. Mine didn't have that, but I was also in it from, I think I was like 3 years old up until 7 or 8. I think 8 years old. So, yeah, we never had like a study time, although we did have to like, what's the word? We had to like learn how to read. So, I mean, that's kind of hard to like naturally do on your own. Actually, no. Now I'm thinking about it. They did also force us to read. So that was like really the only time where we were like specifically dedicated to do something at a certain time, more or less. I mean, there are a few more exceptions, but yeah, that's one of the main characteristics of Montessori schools. Mine just didn't happen to have a 3-hour study time like that. And then the last thing is to have trained teachers. Which, I mean, yeah, kind of hard to have a school without a teacher. But, you know, these teachers are specifically trained in Montessori education rather than, like, traditional public school. I also want to say that I went to Montessori, again, from, like, 3 years old to 8 years old, somewhere around there. Like, I guess kindergarten through... I was in 3rd grade, but I also technically like skipped half a grade. That's a long story. I don't know. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. So what's the purpose of a Montessori school? Really, it's meant to kind of give students a more natural way to learn. It's supposed to help them have self-discipline, a lot of life skills, independence, those types of things. And I want to talk mostly just about my personal experience and just kind of ramble today. So I hope you're in for the ride. The school I went to, it is so weird to think about because when I went to the Montessori school, I thought that's how all schools were. Like, I didn't know there was another option until I ended up going to public school for 4th grade and onward. So it was very strange to me, like, moving out of that environment. But the environment that I had, we were separated into, like, 4 or 5 different buildings. Keep in mind, this is in, like, rural Georgia, so we also had... And this is the part that, like, everyone's like, what in the world was going on? We had animals. Like, we had goats. I'm pretty sure there were chickens. I know there was, like, a peacock or two just kind of, like, running around. And our principal had a macaw, like the parrot, the giant ass parrot. Oh, sorry. The very large parrot in, the office. Like, our office building had a separate room for the parrot, the macaw. I forget what his name was. But yeah, the office was a separate building. We had the bottom floor of, like, the main building was and keep in mind, this was, like, again, rural Georgia, so, like, 100% just a converted plantation. Sorry. I mean, it's true. I can't lie about it. Like, it's a house, and then there's a few other buildings, and I'm like, these had to have been slave quarters at some point. But yeah, one of those, like, slave quarter looking houses was it was like, I think it might have just been second grade. Yeah, I think it was just second grade. The main building, the bottom floor was like second, third ish grade, and then the top floor was fourth and above. Um, what else am I missing? And then there was another building that was like kindergarten, I think pre-K, um, and first grade. So yeah, and like I said earlier, like being mixed age was a large part of it because children are meant to, like, the idea is that children are going to learn from each other. If there's an older kid who knows how to do something, they'll be like, oh, if you want to make the sun out of scissors, here's how you like cut a circle, or here's how you, I don't know, thread a needle or something. Like, the older kids are always there to help. And I think that like does really send an important message of like, as you grow up and you gain skills, it's kind of your job to pass on those skills and kind of be a mentor. So it naturally teaches you how to be a mentor. It also teaches you how to be a mentee and how not to, you know, I guess reject. Like, it teaches you that you can ask for help, and especially ask for help from your peers. It was kind of discouraged actually to ask the teacher. Not discouraged, but like ask a friend first and then see what the teacher says was kind of the general vibe of it all. I also want to say, I think a lot of people think that it's like free, just like completely free range and there's no rules and you just kind of do whatever. Again, like I said, there's goats and stuff. So like, I think when people hear that, they're like, did you just like live on a barn? Like, what is going on? But it's like, there obviously was rules. Like, we had to stay within the building during class time, unless told otherwise. I was a really responsible little kid. So like, if they had to take attendance, they would let me like walk to the office building. Again, separate building. They would let me go to the office and hand in the attendance and come back because they knew that I would, like, not only would I go and actually do it, but I would come back. Because I mean, I, on top of just being responsible, I think I was also scared of like what they would think if I didn't, because I had like a really good reputation. And yeah, like all my teachers loved me and everything, so it was really great. Recess, I think, is another big part of it. That we literally like had this gigantic, when I tell you like huge field to play in. There was like an actual like swing set on the field, but then the rest of it was just like empty grass. There was a little stage where we did plays. But I mean, the entire idea of it is really to let the kids learn for themselves. That's really what I want to get into. The idea is to let kids learn for themselves, because if you let a kid be bored for long enough, they're going to find something to do. And that kind of like spontaneous learning is what it's trying to foster. So, I mean, for me, like, I'm literally majoring in linguistics now, but like when I was bored, I would just start learning Japanese and like how to write in hiragana just because I had nothing else to do. Like, that's what I was doing in middle school. And I think that's so important because that's literally, and it also, is meant to teach you to be a lifelong learner. That's literally all that academia is. It's just you have an interest in something and you want to find answers. You want to figure out how. You want to figure out why. What, who, what, when, where, why, and how. You want all the questions out. And you need to like kind of figure it out on your own. So the entire purpose is to let the kids kind of be in charge of their own learning rather than have the teacher have like absolute say over everything, and then higher than that, like the government having higher say over everything that goes on in the classroom. I think for my school that kind of manifest, and keep in mind, like, again, it's not just like completely free reign everything. We did have a couple like actual like lesson type lessons, but they were no more than like 20 minutes. Like, we did the baking soda vinegar experiment, and she explained, like, my teacher explained what it was, but it wasn't like we need to understand every single chemical element of what's going on, and no, it was just like, this is baking soda, it has these properties, this is vinegar, it has these properties, let's put them together, it explodes. If you want to learn more about it, feel free to like look at one of the books we have or ask one of the older kids, but that's really where they left it at. So it's up to us to kind of take that initiative, to have the curiosity to find answers, rather than to just be told, this is what's happening, now learn it for the test. Like, we didn't have to, oh yeah, there's no tests, there's no homework, no quizzes, like genuinely nothing. Which again was a really hard shift. When I went to a public, like, traditional style school, I literally said, like, I thought homework was a myth. Like, I thought it was fully made up for, like, because I watched Arthur and stuff, like, kids shows. They all have homework and they're all, like, studying and stuff. And I was like, I thought this was just something that was made up in, like, La La Land. You know what I mean? Like, when you are brought up in that environment where you're free to think for yourself, you have a lot of responsibility given to you at such a young age, and people around you trust you enough to, like, be your own person essentially, and, like, do your own thing and have curiosity on your own. When you're trusted with that level of autonomy, it's so weird to be told what you have to do, which was, like, a really hard adjustment. I think a lot of my teachers, like, once I got into public school, they liked me, but they were also, like, I think I was more so confused, because I was like, wait, why do I have to do work at home? Or, like, why do I have to write an essay in class about something that I don't care about? Because it is so much different to do something you're passionate in than to just, like, sit there and do it because you have to, or because you're going to get a good grade or a gold sticker, like, star or whatever. What else? Oh, I was just saying earlier that this is kind of the reason why this podcast sort of formed, is that, like, I have interest in random things, and because of that, I go down a Google rabbit hole, or, like, I start watching YouTube videos about it. Like, that's what that time video was I was just like, you know what is time? Let me look into this. And let me look at it through a bunch of different perspectives. And again, that's literally what academia is. You just want to learn something. But I think this is, like, a really good platform for me to find the things that I'm interested in, spend some time looking up what they are, what they mean, how they came into being, whatever, and just talk about it. Just because. And obviously not everyone's going to like that, but that doesn't matter. Like, this is my platform. If you don't want to watch, you don't have to. No one's holding you at gunpoint. Yeah. But I think Montessori school, in contrast with, like, traditional public school, it's just very weird. I think because most people have that traditional public school experience, they get a bad idea of what learning is and what learning can be. If you're taught you have to learn something and the only reward you get is, like, a good grade, that's not really enough. You're not getting the satisfaction of actually learning, or of actually taking the time to find something new. You're simply, like, reading through a textbook so you can regurgitate the answers on a test. And that's something I've had a problem with, like, the entire time I was in, like, traditional public school. It was just so different from what I was used to. And even now, it's really hard for me to do stuff like that if I'm not interested. So I have to, like, find a way to, like, cling on to interest in any way that I can to be able to do my assignments now. Like, even in English, I'm like, I obviously love, like, I guess, literature and stuff sometimes, but, like, I need to, like, find something interesting, or, like, I have to Google the author afterward, or just, like, anything to, like, get me interested and invested in it, because if not, I don't care. Like, it's just so hard to care about something you don't care about, you know what I mean? Yeah, anyway, I think that's gonna be it for this episode. I've rambled enough. If anyone has any thoughts or comments or suggestions below, I would love to hear them. Yeah, anyway, that's been all for today. This is the Buried Rat Podcast. I hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye.